The Swiss Jura. More than just a canton, it's an entire highland region that stretches from the northeast of Switzerland right down to Lake Geneva. A rugged, pristine landscape. Compared to the rest of Switzerland, the region is sparsely populated. That's why there's one thing you find in abundance here: peace and quiet. Usually. But now, it's spring in the northern Jura, and that means it's the mating season. The trees are alive with a chirping song contest. It's a musical competition for the favor of the females. They decide whether a male is a worthwhile breeding partner or not. Evidently, this nuthatch passed the test. Apart from the reproductive instinct, there's another major driving force for animals: hunger. The ermine moves as fast as lightning. But life at this pace takes a lot of energy, that is, food. Mice are a favorite. In the past, ermines were often kept as pets to keep farms free of mice. Because no mouse is safe anywhere near an ermine. One unguarded moment, and death is at the door. Death and birth, the eternal cycle in nature. Under the first warming rays of sunshine, spring snowflake and crocuses are the first to venture forth. Other flowers follow swiftly, like the cuckoo flower. And when these buds open, there's even a touch of the Orient unfolding in the middle of Switzerland. Because later, the blossoms will result in a very special fruit, the damson plum. Legend has it that these Damascene plums were a souvenir brought back by the Crusaders from Damascus in Syria over 800 years ago. Its integration was a success. Today, it's a Swiss speciality and is enjoyed especially in high-proof liquid form. Growing alongside them are apples, cherries, and Mirabelle plums. It's no coincidence that the Jurassic Ajoie is known as the fruit orchard of Western Switzerland. For the blossoms to turn into delicious fruit, however, a very special interaction is needed, one that has worked for hundreds of millions of years. Blossoms aren't stingy with their charms in spring. Scent, color, shape, they use anything to lure their pollinators. And it works. Bees need huge quantities of nectar and pollen to feed the brood in their hives. As they go, pollen grains get stuck to their bee fur and are carried from flower to flower. Bees are also true to a single variety. They remain with the plant species until the blossoms fade. It's a great advantage for fruit trees if only their own pollen dust is carried about. Plant or animal kingdom, new life is springing up everywhere. Here too in the nearby forests around the old Chateau Plejouze. A whole pack of young foxes enjoys some unsupervised time. Their mother has probably gone off looking for food, as these 4 to 5 week-old cubs can't do that for themselves yet. they still haven't a clue how serious life is. Hunters, cars, there are many dangers out there in the big wide world, but right now, that's of no interest to them. Fun and games are the privilege of childhood. Today, mountains soar upwards where the Tethys Ocean lay in prehistoric times. Deposits of sediment led to the formation of limestone. One could say that the underpinning structure of the Jura Mountains is made up of the remains of seashells, corals, and crabs. The characteristic karst formations of the limestone mountains aroused the interest of nature researcher Alexander von Humboldt. He named these rock strata after the place where they were discovered, Jura. Later, this name was adopted to describe the entire era of their creation. Almost as if a giant had left footprints. Funnels in the ground like these appear unexpectedly in karst areas. Called dolines, they're formed by the corrosive dissolving of rock in rainwater. This is also how subterranean karst formations are created, better known as stalactite caves. So far, 9,000 caves have been discovered in Switzerland, most of them in the Jura. One of these is the Reclair Cave. It affords a glimpse into the mysterious bowels of the earth, as well as a journey into the deepest mists of the past. The clock seems to tick more slowly here. Stalactites grow at a rate of about 8 to 15 millimeters every 100 years. Drip by drip, sculptures are formed. The water evaporates. A wafer-thin lime deposit remains. Over millions of years, this process has created the astonishing works of art that fire our imagination today. Stalactites grow down from the ceiling. To start with, they form thin tubes, a peculiar shape that has led to them being called macaroni. Some of the stalagmites reaching up from the floor of the cave are more reminiscent of cannelloni. Reclair is where Switzerland's largest stalagmite reigns supreme, the cathedral. Around 15 meters tall, it's believed to be some 200,000 years old. In the cave, the temperature is a constant 7 degrees centigrade all year round. For some, these are ideal conditions in which to spend the winter. "11 species of bat use the frost-free caves as their winter quarters. From November, when food becomes scarce, they retreat to the caves and go into a kind of hibernation to save precious energy. Among them are the lesser and greater horseshoe bat, both of which are on the endangered list. For them to be woken now would be fatal, which is why the caves are closed to the public during winter. The powerful interplay of water and time. Its impressive results can be observed on the Earth's surface, too. For millions of years, the Doubs River has coursed its way through the limestone, until a landslide blocked its way some 14,000 years ago. The result? The Lac des Brenets. The lake winds its way almost like a fjord between steep walls that are up to 80 meters high. At the Doubs Falls, the water cascades with tremendous force into the valley below. The waterfall has another natural feature. It also forms the border between Switzerland and France. For almost 500 kilometers, the River Doubs snakes backwards and forwards between France and Switzerland, living up to its name, which translates to the Doubter. In some places, the high rock walls make it almost inaccessible, so it's unspoiled by human presence. But there are also flatter stretches. This makes it flow at different rates, in some places very fast, and in others more sedately. In between, it seems to pause and rest in peaceful pools. The area is home to black kites. They often frequent places near water so they can hunt for fish. The Doubs offers a valuable habitat, especially for waterfowl. On the banks or in the water, they all find a suitable nesting spot. The mute swan prefers to nest on the riverbanks. Its young could hardly be called ugly ducklings, though. It's never too early to start getting a bit of beauty sleep. The chicks stay with their parents for 8 to 9 months before they're independent. It's lunchtime for this family. With its long neck, the adult dives for aquatic plants deep underwater, the staple diet for swans, young and old. Nature conservationists have been trying to protect this paradise for years. To achieve this, the use of the river, especially by hydroelectric power plants, must be reduced. Whether that will happen remains to be seen. On some days, the moisture in the river valley draws skeins of fog across the landscape. This is good for the neighboring forests and fields. The juicy grass provides food for the region's large cattle herds. Many people here make a living from agriculture. The milk is turned into the Jura's famous cheeses, such as the tête de moine. In the advancing early summer, whatever hasn't been eaten or mowed in the meadows bursts into colourful bloom. But the idyll can be deceptive. Danger lurks, hiding in wait. A crab spider is on the prowl. Instead of spinning a web, it waits patiently, well hidden, for its victims. This time, it's unsuccessful. These dramatic scenes of life and death are played out in wildflower meadows thousands of times every day. To the south of the Doubs region lies the Franches-Montagne district, a territory with few people but a multitude of fields. This region is home to an old Swiss horse breed, the Freiberger. Their ancestors came from abroad, but the Freiberger have been bred in Switzerland for the past 200 years, and so they are held to be a genuine Swiss breed. Strong, calm, and even-tempered. These were the characteristics that made this horse so popular, especially as a workhorse and for the military. Today, favored as coach horses and for riding, they are the pride of the region. There's enough space in the Franches-Montagne for them to spend the entire summer in the fields, almost like the Wild West, except that it's in Switzerland. The Jura can seem to visitors to be a haven of peace. Even in the peak tourist season, it isn't crowded with hordes of people. Time here often seems to have stood still. The Swiss tourism hotspots aren't far away, though. The famous Bernese Highlands are just across the way. But the Swiss Jura need not hide behind the major attractions of its neighboring cantons. The region is full of surprising diversity and beauty, all just waiting to be discovered.